Man, the IRS got my dog Quavo down bag all over the blog saying he owed about 3 M's unpaid taxes from 2021 through 2023.
The IRS just hit Quavo with a $3 million tax lien, and footage of the fallout is going viral. The Hook God hasn't paid taxes in 3 years. What happens next could end his career. And who was pocketing the money meant for the feds? Let's get into it. The feds slide on Quavo's whole situation. So here's the real deal. According to TMZ, documents filed back in January 2026 show that the IRS slapped Quavo, government name Quavius Kiate Marshall, with a federal tax lien for damn near $3 million in alleged unpaid back taxes. We talking $915,660 for 2021, another $887,486 for 2022, and then the fattest bag of all, $109,497.79 for 2023, putting the whole tab at a cool $2,912,644.33. Let me run that number back for the folks in the back one more time. $2,912,644.33. Bro, that ain't a bill. That ain't even a debt at that point. That's a whole mortgage on a different life. That's the type of bread the government is saying Quavo left on the table, and now they want every last penny of it with interest. And the IRS don't play about they paper. Everybody know that. And the reaction from the culture was immediate. Commentators across YouTube weren't holding back.
And before we get to screaming Quavo broke, Quavo mismanaged his money, Quavo overspent, all that bullshit up. Sometimes.
And that's the thing. Everybody got an opinion. Everybody got a theory, but nobody actually knows the full story yet. What we do know is that the second TMZ dropped this, it was a wrap. The whole internet went stupid. Hot 97 ran with it. iHeartRadio picked it up. Billboard had the receipts. Academics, and look, say what you want about that man, but he stayed with the scoop. Academics posted it on IG with a photo of Quavo rocking the shades and the plaid collar. IRS logo stamped right over the image. And that post alone caught 15,600 likes and damn near 1,000 comments before the day was even over. Over on X, which y'all still calling Twitter, and that's fine. TMZ's post about it got 2.8 million views, 5,000 likes, and the quote tweets were going absolutely crazy. Everybody and they mama had something to say. But here's where I gotta pump the brakes and keep it a buck with y'all. There was no raid, period. Full stop. No feds at the door. No agents rifling through closets. No dramatic footage of government SUVs rolling up the driveway. There is zero credible evidence of any kind of physical enforcement action at Quavo's property, and not a single legitimate news outlet has reported anything even close to that. What happened was the filing of a federal tax lien. And I need y'all to understand the difference because the streets keep mixing this up. A lien is the government putting their name on your stuff. It's them saying, we got dibs on everything you own until you square up with us. A raid is them actually pulling up and taking your stuff. A lien is a warning shot. A raid is the whole clip. And right now, all the IRS did was fire that warning shot. But the internet don't care about nuance, do they? Some YouTube short popped up titled, Quavo owes the IRS $3 million. You won't believe this. And it got tagged as a viral video, even though there's not a single frame of raid footage anywhere in it. People were even confusing this with old stories, like Diddy getting his spots raided in 2024, or 6699's IRS seizure situation. The misinformation was running laps around the truth, and by the time the facts caught up, the narrative was already set. Now here's the part that made this whole thing hit different for people. This ain't just some random rapper catching a tax L. This is Quavo, the Hook God, 1/3 of the group that literally changed the sound of modern hip-hop. This is the same dude whose voice was on Bad and Bougé when that joint was sitting at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and every club in America was playing it on repeat. The same Quavo who was out here doing arena tours with Drake and getting checks that most people can't even fathom. And just to put into perspective how hard this man was working at his peak, listen to him describe the grind himself.
Where'd that come from?
Kept beating them to the studio, beating them to the booth, out going, making 5-6 songs while everybody go outside.
That's the work ethic that built the Migos empire. 5-6 songs while everybody else was outside chilling. And now that same dude is catching headlines not for a new project, not for a feature, not for a W, but because the IRS says he owes them almost 3 racks. And the social media reaction was telling, fam. It wasn't just people clowning, it was people recognizing a pattern. That the whole rapper lifestyle, the chains, the whips, the cribs, the bottles, the drip that gets posted on the gram every single day, none of that necessarily means your finances are straight. You can have a closet full of Amiri jeans and Dior kicks and still owe the government enough bread to buy a whole house in the suburbs. The flex don't always match the funds, and the comment sections were going off. On the TMZ X post, a neutralized verse 18 said flat out, "The Migos have no financial literacy," and that comment pulled 278 likes. Another user, a Shiestiara 2 on 24, was even more blunt about it, writing, "Millionaires not paying their taxes should do jail term IDC," and that got 168 likes. Over on the gram, the comments were a mix of jokes and real talk. Folks saying Quavo just needs to sell a couple chains and he's straight, while others were calling out the government, like one commenter who wrote, "Ain't this the same IRS who owes millions on taxes themselves?" But underneath all the jokes, all the memes, all the hot takes from the armchair financial advisors of the internet, there's a real situation brewing here. And Quavo ain't even the only one in the headlines right now. The whole Migos camp been catching tax L's. When news first broke about Offset's tax troubles, the reaction was just as wild.
I just saw this pop up. Oof, bad news for Offset. He's facing major financial troubles for his unpaid tax balance. They're saying it's past 2.3 million.
And that's the part that really got people talking. Because if this whole vibe feels familiar, like you done seen this exact same movie before but with a different Migo in the lead role, you're not bugging. Because Quavo ain't even the first member of that group to catch a federal tax L. His day one Offset got hit with a federal lien for $1,575,266.73 in unpaid 2022 taxes, and that joint was filed on April 3rd, 2024. And real talk, the commentary around that whole situation was spot on.
So this can get really wild. Oh my God, imagine you're going back and forth with your ex just for the IRS to be like, nope, none of you can have it.
That's exactly what was happening. Offset was beefing with Cardi B over assets in the divorce, and meanwhile the IRS was sitting there like, neither one of y'all getting it. The mess that came from that situation, especially how it got tangled up in the Cardi B divorce, man, we about to get deep into all of that. But first, I need y'all to understand why this keeps happening, because this ain't just a Migos problem. This is a hip-hop problem, and it's been going on longer than most of us have been alive. From the bando to the tax man. To really understand how Quavo ended up in this position, you gotta go back to the jump, back to the very beginning, when 3 kids from the north side of Gwinnett County were just trying to figure it out with nothing but a dream and a laptop they came up on.
Everybody stayed at my house. That's Mama crib. We call it Mama Huncho. Everybody stayed there.
That's Quavo on the All the Smoke podcast, painting the picture of how it all started. Everybody posted up at his mama's crib, the door always open, the vibes always on point.
And downstairs, we had came up on this laptop and like a Bluebird mic. And so I hooked it up downstairs, and we had this like gymnastic mat.
A gymnastic mat for soundproofing, and a mic they probably got from Walmart. That was the whole studio. That was ground zero for the Migos sound, the triplet flow, the ad-libs, the whole wave that would go on to influence literally every rapper that came after them. The group originally formed in 2008 under the name Polo Club while they were still in high school, and they were so early in the game that they were recording on Windows Movie Maker, not Pro Tools, not Logic, not even GarageBand. Windows Movie Maker, the same program you used to make slideshows for your 8th grade English class.
We had to find a way to take everything. And we just started getting good at what we, all the time.
And that grind, that raw, unpolished, no safety net grind where you had to get it right the first time or start the whole track over from scratch, that's what built the foundation. That's what separated them from everybody else in the city who was rapping in their living room. Now here's where the money talk gets real interesting, because when Migos finally blew, and I mean blew, like Versace getting the Drake remix in 2013, Bad and Bougie going #1 in 2017, selling out arenas type blow, the bread started coming in at a speed that would make your head spin. The Culture album debuted #1 on the Billboard 200. Culture 2 did the same thing. They linked with Drake for the Aubrey and the 3 Migos tour, and that run grossed over $80 million. These boys were eating, and I mean eating good. But here's the part nobody talks about, the part that makes the whole IRS situation make a whole lot more sense. Migos admitted that for 5 to 6 years during their early rise, they didn't even have bank accounts. They were stashing cash in floors and walls like it was trap money. Think about that for a second. Millions of dollars flowing in, and these young boys from the north side had no financial infrastructure whatsoever. No accountants, no tax planners, no wealth managers, just cash stuffed in the floorboards like they was still in the bando. And look, nobody can blame them for that, because where they came from, that's how you moved. You didn't trust banks, you didn't trust suits, you trusted your people and you kept your bread close. But the IRS don't care where you came from, they care about where the money went. And this ain't just a Migos thing, this is embedded in the culture at this point. XXL Mag, Hot New Hip Hop, and Hip Hop Wired have all put out lists of 10 to 15 rappers who got caught up with the feds over taxes. The story is always the same. Young dudes from the hood blow up. Overnight, the bag comes in crazy. Ain't nobody around them explaining estimated quarterly payments and self-employment tax, and by the time the IRS catches up, the bill is astronomical. And one commentator really kept it real about Quavo's specific situation.
Man, the IRS got my dog Quavo down bag all over the blog, saying he owed about 3 M's unpaid taxes from 2021 through 2023.
And then he dropped the gem that I think a lot of people been thinking, but nobody wants to say out loud.
He just got people that's stealing from him, and whoever's supposed to handle the taxes ain't paying them, and they were stealing, so they just pocket the money.
And real talk, that theory ain't crazy at all. That's literally what happened to multiple rappers before him. Fat Joe went to prison behind it, pleaded guilty in 2013 to failing to file returns on over $3 million because his accountant was embezzling from him the whole time. Weezy caught liens totaling $14.2 million. Nas got hit for $6.5 million. Swizz Beatz is sitting on $5.7 million in debt right now, and this is his 3rd time going through this since 2008. MC Hammer, Busta, Jermaine Dupri, Kim, Nelly, Trick Daddy, the list is crazy long. And now you can add 2 out of 3 Migos to that list. Because let's not front like Offset wasn't just going through the exact same thing. His $1.5 million federal tax lien got filed in April 2024, and it turned into a whole situation with the Cardi B divorce. Cardi was out here in September 2025 saying the divorce was being held up specifically because of Offset's tax mess, claiming he was basically holding her hostage, trying to get her to cover his debts as part of the settlement. Set did end up handling that particular bag. He paid the $1.5 million in full by December 2025 and got the lien released. But word is he still got another $486,126 in 2023 federal taxes and $292,000 in Georgia state taxes hanging over his head. And the commentary around Offset's situation hit the nail right on the head.
No matter, listen, you could dodge the IRS, you could try. They will find you.
Facts, straight facts. And that goes for everybody watching this video right now. The IRS ain't some local plug you can duck calls from and hope they forget about you. These people will track you down with the patience of a sniper.
You can't dodge the IRS.
Oh yeah, you can try.
You think you're good for a year, 2 years, 3 years, all of a sudden, 9 years in, here they come.
And if you really want the picture of what happens when the IRS runs out of patience, just look at what 6ix99 went through. Homeboy described the whole ordeal in detail.
When my house got raided by the IRS, they said, listen, you already paid $3.4 million, you gotta pay another additional $6 million.
That's the part of the game nobody wants to talk about. The numbers don't go down when you ignore them. They go up. And then the IRS gives you a choice that ain't really a choice at all.
You know, you need to pay your taxes. You're in a stage of, it's the process of liquidation, right?
Liquidation. That word right there is the boogeyman of the rap game. It means the feds start selling off everything you worked for. The crib, the whips, the chains, the watches, all of it going to the highest bidder just to cover what you owe.
Is that you cut us a $6 million check or start liquidating? Because if you don't liquidate, you start going into like that process of going to jail. Right?
Cut the check or catch a case. That's what it boils down to when you let the tax situation get out of hand. And that kind of pressure, that kind of your freedom or your fortune ultimatum is something Quavo needs to make sure he never gets close to. Because the IRS don't bluff, they don't posture, they just execute. The road ahead. Alright, so now we at the part of the conversation everybody been waiting for. What happens from here? Can the feds actually take Quavo's crib? Is this the type of situation that buries a career? Or is this just another pothole on the road for a dude who's already survived way worse? Let's break down the legal side real quick, because the streets need to understand what a tax lien actually means in practical terms. A federal tax lien latches onto everything Quavo owns. His real estate, his accounts, his royalty streams, his vehicles, all of it. It tanks your credit, makes it damn near impossible to sell or refinance affects any of your assets, and it basically puts the government at the front of the line ahead of everybody else you might owe money to. But, and this is the key part, the lien by itself doesn't kick Quavo out of his house or force him to sell anything. He can still live in his Alpharetta mansion. He can still push his whips. The lien is the government saying, we got next. It ain't them taking their turn yet. But if Quavo tries to ghost on this, if he don't pay up, don't set up a payment plan, don't get his lawyers on the phone and start working something out, the IRS has a whole escalation playbook that ends with them seizing your assets for real. First, they send more notices. Then they hit you with the final notice of intent to levy, and that's when it gets serious. From there, they go after the easy targets first. Your bank accounts, your wages, your tax refunds, and if none of that covers the debt, the IRS can technically seize and auction off his Alpharetta mansion, but because it's his primary residence, they need a federal judge to sign off on it first. Now, is that actually going to happen? Nah, probably not. At least not as a first move. Home seizures are incredibly rare because the IRS would rather go after liquid assets before getting into real estate drama. And when you look at the math, Quavo's net worth is estimated somewhere between $28 million and $40 million. A $2.9 million tax bill is like 7 to 11% of his whole bag. It's a lot of bread, no doubt, but it ain't the type of number that puts you in the poorhouse when you're worth that much. This ain't a he's finished situation. This is a he needs to handle his business situation. And honestly, one commentator broke down the comeback blueprint in the most real, practical, hood NBA way possible.
If Quavo turned his verses down, like the price of it down to 15,000, and like that, turn his show money down.
That right there is the playbook. Drop the feature prices, flood the market with verses, stack the bag back up through volume. It ain't glamorous, but it works. Stop spending bands trying to push out music and take it back to the basics, the raw grassroots hustle that got you here in the first place. That's real game right there. And it's the same blueprint that's worked for every rapper who's ever had to rebuild. But here's what makes Quavo's whole situation hit different from any of those other rappers on the tax lien list. This man has been through hell these last few years. Not tax hell, not financial hell, but real life, soul-crushing, personal hell. His nephew Takeoff, the youngest Migo, the quiet one, the one who was so cold on the mic that he got his name because he never needed a second take, was shot and killed on November 1st, 2022, outside a Houston bowling alley. Quavo was right there when it happened. He was standing right there. And that kind of loss, losing your nephew, your bandmate, your day one, the person you've been making music with since you were kids in your mama's basement, that changes a person forever.
It feels great. Because, bro, I was, you know what I'm saying, like, every night, you know, crying, trying to figure out why this even happened.
That right there, that vulnerability, that honesty about crying every single night trying to make sense of why his nephew was taken from him tells you everything about where Quavo's head has been at. And when your heart is that heavy, when you carrying that kind of grief on your shoulders every day, the last thing you thinking about is whether your quarterly estimated taxes got filed on time. You ain't checking spreadsheets when you can barely get through the day. You ain't auditing your accountant's work when you're still processing the funeral. And through all of that pain, through the grief, through the tears, through the darkest period of his entire life, Quavo still found a way to channel it into something bigger than himself. The Rocket Foundation, which he built in Takeoff's honor, has granted funds to over 10 community organizations fighting gun violence and even played a role in establishing the first ever White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention in 2023. He sat down with Vice President Kamala Harris, he went to Congress, he put on the suit and tied the tie and walked into rooms full of politicians, all while carrying the weight of his nephew's memory and, as we now know, damn near $3 million in tax debt on his back. And let's keep it all the way 100. The IRS situation ain't even the only El Quavo's been dealing with. In September 2024, a Las Vegas jury told him to run $682,000 for slapping a hotel valet back in 2018. He went bar for bar with Chris Brown in 2024 in one of the most vicious diss track exchanges hip-hop has seen in years. That elevator footage with Saweetie from 2020 still follows him around like a shadow, and Georgia had already quietly filed state tax liens against him in 2025 for about $496,000 in unpaid state taxes, a situation that flew under the radar until the much bigger federal lien put the spotlight on everything. Now, as of March 5th, 2026, Quavo ain't said a word publicly about any of this. His socials went quiet. No statement from his team, no IG story, nothing. And honestly, that might be the smartest play he can make right now, because when you got the feds looking at your finances, the last thing you want to do is hop on Instagram Live and start explaining yourself. That's lawyer talk territory, and any smart attorney would tell you to sit tight and let them them handle it. The comment sections, though, those stayed loud. One comment on the Academic's post said, "Ain't this the same IRS who owes millions on taxes themselves?" While somebody else just said, "He just need to sell a few chains, he good." Over on X, one user wrote, "The Migos have no financial literacy." And look, that stings. But when you look at the receipts, it ain't entirely wrong. Another user pulled up Quavo's own bars where he told people to set it aside for taxes, calling it a federal crime, not to, which is peak irony if we being honest. But here's the real talk that I need to leave y'all with before we wrap this. What Quavo is going through right now, this tax lien, this public exposure, this forced confrontation with the financial side of the game, it ain't the end of the story. It's a chapter, a rough one, no question, but it's a chapter that some of the biggest names in hip-hop history have gone through and come out on. The other side. Wayne owed $14 million, paid it off. Nas owed $6.5 million, handled it. Offset owed $1.5 million literally last year and squared up by December 2025. The question was never, can Quavo afford to pay this? With a net worth between $28 and $40 million. Of course he can. The real question is whether this moment becomes the turning point where he locks in, gets his finances airtight, and never lets himself end up on a TMZ headline like this again. Because the IRS don't care about your ad-libs, fam. They don't care about the drip. They don't care about the festival bookings or the brand deals or the plaques on the wall. They want they bread, period. And they will wait however long it takes to collect it. And that's the lesson for everybody watching. Whether you got millions in the bank or you working a 9-to-5 trying to keep the lights on, the IRS is not something you can finesse. You can't gas them up and buy time. You can't give them the runaround like they some local connect. Because when that lien drops, when those numbers hit the public record, when the whole world can Google your name and see exactly how much you owe the government, it's your name on that document, not your managers, not your CPAs, not your day one who was supposed to handle the taxes, yours. As of right now, Quavo still got his headlining spot at the Mad Island Festival in St. Martin later this month. He's still cooking up his next project, Satchmo. He's still running the Rocket Foundation and putting in the work for his community. The music ain't stopped. The hustle ain't stopped. And if there's one thing we know about Quavo, the same dude who went from recording on Windows Movie Maker in his mama's basement to selling out arenas on 4 continents, it's that he don't fold. He said it himself in that interview. He ain't driving. God's driving. And all he can do is ride shotgun and keep his antennas clean. But Uncle Sam ain't riding shotgun with nobody. Uncle Sam is sitting in the back seat with a calculator, running the numbers. And until Quavo cuts that check or works out that deal, Uncle Sam ain't going nowhere. So nah, the IRS didn't raid Quavo's mansion. But what they did, filing that lien, putting it on public record, letting the whole internet see the numbers. In a lot of ways, that might be worse. Because a raid is a moment. It happens and it's over. But a lien is a shadow that follows you everywhere. To the bank, to the dealership, to the closing table, until you pay what you owe. And right now, Quavo owes $2,912 down $644.33. Not to the streets, not to a label, to the United States of America, and they want it back. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.